I've hunted wild boars in many places, from the cornfields of Texas to the rugged hills of Georgia. But nowhere has taken my breath away every single minute like the swamp hunt in Florida, where every mistake is paid for in blood, or even life. Unlike other hunts, this time we used bows to take down the boars. Today was a sweltering day in July. Before dawn, I set out with a 3-person hunting group, which included Rick, a seasoned hunter, and the couple Thomas. We had prepared everything. The bows were strung, the arrowheads were as sharp as surgical blades, and our camouflage suits matched the forest terrain of Florida. In the early morning, the forest was eerily quiet, making every sound feel vague and chilling. We followed a trail of fresh boar footprints imprinted in the mud, signs of a herd that had just moved through. A herd of boars was busy eating the corn bait we had scattered the day before. I took a deep breath and drew my bow. All sounds seemed to vanish, leaving only the beat of my heart and my breath. The arrow left the string with a soft, heavy sound. It let out a scream, leapt up, and rushed into the bushes, blood pouring along its path. The rest of the boars scattered in panic. I followed the trail and found the wild boar's carcass over 100 meters from the point where it had been shot. After taking down the wild boar, we realized this area was teeming with them. We decided to split into 2 teams to increase our chances of getting more. Rick and I formed one team, setting up an ambush to the south. We climbed onto a raised shooting platform and readied our bows. I didn't have to wait long. A herd of pitch-black boars stepped into range. I aimed, drew the string, and released. The arrow hit its mark, striking one of the boars. It didn't drop immediately. It still had the strength to run, but the trail it left on the ground would lead us to it soon enough. About 500 meters away from us, the Thomas couple also ambushed and took down several wild boars. With the number of wild boars harvested, we all felt excited and more motivated to continue the hunt. Our targets were all large, fully grown wild boars. They cause significantly more destruction than younger ones, and moreover, are in their reproductive age, so they need to be eliminated quickly. In many areas of Florida, we set up various types of bait traps to attract wild boars. About every 2 hours, a herd of wild boars would appear. The bow and arrow were always in a ready-to-shoot position, just releasing the string, and the arrow could pierce through the boar's thick skin. By late afternoon, the sky began to pour a heavy tropical rain. We regrouped and approached the lowland area where the herd of wild boars was gradually coming out of the forest. The rain masked the sound of footsteps. That was our advantage. We got closer and hid behind a bush, clearly observing more than 10 large wild boars feeding. All of them were big. The target was the largest wild boar. We stood in the rain, our bows soaked, everything tense like a tightened string. The arrow flew through the rain, striking a wild boar and bringing it down. We returned to the gathering point as the sun began to set behind the palm forest. All the wild boars were butchered and preserved in the freezer. They are a food source that any hunter in Florida knows how to process. That's the end of today's video. How did you feel about today's hunt? Leave your comments below to let us know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. I took down my first wild hog right here in this forest 14 years ago. Back then, I was using my father's old rifle, hands trembling, missing the first 2 shots. And yet today, I'm back in the same place. The gear has changed, my experience has deepened, but the thrill of stepping into the woods, that stays exactly the same. The heavy rain 3 days ago had turned many forest roads into sticky mud bogs, but we had anticipated that, so the team moved in using a swamp buggy. While on the buggy, we took the chance to discuss strategy. The wind was blowing from the southeast, and in just about an hour, it could shift as the sun rose higher. Luckily, within the first 15 minutes, our target appeared. Nathaniel signaled to stop the vehicle, then calmly raised his rifle. The hog was only about 15 meters away, not a problem for him. A single, clean shot rang out. The target went down instantly. Right after that opening shot, we split up according to plan. I looped around downwind, taking cover behind a dense thicket that gave me a clear view ahead without revealing my position. The team formed a half-moon formation, closing in on a group of hogs peacefully foraging ahead of us. I raised my gun and squeezed the trigger. The hog dropped on the spot. About an hour later, we arrived at the trap site we'd set up the day before, a low-lying area thick with grass and shrubs, perfect for hogs to stop and feed. Just as we predicted, they were there. From a rocky outcrop overlooking the site, we saw the hogs nosing around the trap, unaware they were in our sights. A loud crack shattered the stillness. The spotted hog screamed, then quickly went limp. Just 10 minutes later, we reached the next ridge. As soon as we arrived, Nathaniel spotted a target. I sprinted to the opposite side to set up a blocking position. Bang! The hog bolted downhill, funneled into a narrow slope. One clean shot. My bullet struck a shoulder. On our way back down the mountain, I unexpectedly spotted another hog. A dark blur shot across the trail. So fast, I didn't even have time to react. After a successful hunt, we returned with the spoils piled on the vehicle. The meat was divided into smaller portions. The shoulder and ribs were set aside for a morning barbecue in the garden. That's the end of the video. What did you think of today's hunt? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to follow our next intense chase. Have you ever faced a life or death encounter with a giant and ferocious wild boar? I did. It was a moment that I often call a life or death encounter between man and wild animal. The story takes place in a dense forest in the Ardennes region in the northeast of France. I went with Pierre and Laurent, two close friends and well-known marksmen in the local hunting club. We were told by veteran hunters that there was an unusually large wild boar, estimated to be over 150 kilograms, that was constantly attacking the local farmers' pastures, digging and destroying fences. Several hunters tried, but the animal always disappeared like a ghost in the dense forest. Our hunting party had more than 20 people, divided into small groups to search for wild boar in different directions. Pierre and Laurent, I headed southwest, where the forest was deep and dense. Suddenly, a roar echoed from ahead. Not a single one, but a whole pack. The hounds rushed forward, howling urgently. Pierre whispered, "Here it is, get ready." We slowly approached and opened fire. Loud explosions mingled with the barking of the dogs. The boar was hit and rolled down the slope. After killing a wild boar, we felt motivated again. The team continued to search for traces of wild boars. The deeper we went, the more humid the forest smelled. The fallen leaves partly concealed the footprints of wild boars. Therefore, the search became more difficult. As Lauren was hesitantly moving to another area, we heard rustling not far away. We breathed lightly, held our guns firmly, and moved slowly. After a while, we spotted a wild boar moving through the trees. Quickly, Lauren took aim and successfully killed it with one shot. At noon, after an hour of rest to regain strength, although everyone was exhausted, no one gave up. While resting at the edge of the forest, we heard the barking of dogs again, along with the sound of hurried footsteps as if being chased. Pierre and I quickly held our guns firmly and pulled the trigger. The big wild boar collapsed on the spot. The others ran away into the forest. We quickly chased after them, determined not to let any wild boar escape. With great speed, this wild boar ran away into a dense area with many very tall trees. From a good position, we opened fire on it, but the boar was not hit. It managed to escape our sight. It is undeniable that wild boars are becoming more intelligent. Perhaps they have developed an instinct to avoid danger. However, what we fear is not their escape, but the possibility of their return. The wild boars that are not exterminated will certainly return in the future and continue to destroy the farm, causing much more serious damage. In the afternoon, we moved towards the edge of the forest, where the farm bordered, to gather our spoils. It seemed that we would not be able to harvest any more wild boars, but our pack of dogs discovered their tracks. After a while of chasing, we discovered a herd of wild boars, all of them large in size. Perhaps because they sensed danger, they ran very fast. We shot continuously and killed several wild boars. By the end of the day, we had killed dozens of wild boars. Some were downed with a single shot. Lauren said that shooting quickly was a natural respect we had for them. Today's video ends here. How do you feel today? Please comment below to let us know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
Although I've encountered many invasive species before, wild boars remain among the most destructive and persistent creatures I've ever faced. They not only ravage crops, but also test the patience of even the most seasoned hunters. Today, we return to a familiar mission, but with a twist. This time, we're hunting wild boars from the sky, aboard a helicopter. A thrilling, breathtaking, and visually stunning journey awaits. Let's dive into this spectacular hunt together. Taking off early in the Robinson, our 44 helicopter, we quickly stabilized our position, gripping our rifles firmly and ready for action. The rotor blades sliced through the air, mixing with the echo of gunfire from Linda and me, creating an intense atmosphere midair. From above, we had a clear view of the terrain, targeting the boars frantically dashing across the fields below. However, their incredible speed and ability to change direction meant that some required multiple shots before they were finally taken down. The helicopter kept circling, moving toward the central area. On the ground, wild boars of all sizes were scrambling to escape. We didn't give them a chance to flee. Lowering our altitude, we aimed at the familiar dark figures. A barrage of bullets followed. Just like that, several more candidates were added to the takedown list. Thick bushes are always a favorite hiding spot for wild boars, giving them cover after every chase. As the herd panicked and scattered, they weaved through the dense underbrush, but from our aerial view, none of their movements could remain hidden. After a few missed shots early on, I regained my composure and shooting rhythm. Shot by shot, my aim improved, and no matter how agile they were, the boars eventually fell to precise, decisive fire from above. After a short lunch break, the helicopter roared back to life and we resumed our pursuit. As soon as the first target appeared, I didn't hesitate. I pulled the trigger and dropped it in an instant. A large herd of wild boars became our next opponents. They tried to scatter and escape, but it was no use. The helicopter locked in, closed the gap, and one by one, each target was taken down. In just a few minutes, nearly the entire herd was wiped out, a clear testament to the superior effectiveness of aerial hunting over traditional ground methods. The helicopter swiftly turned toward a vast open field. Holding our altitude, we focused intensely and locked onto our targets. The boars split up, sprinting in all directions in sheer panic. It was the perfect moment. Gunfire erupted, each bullet fired with precision and force. Each hit caused the boars to stumble, tumble across the field, and lie still, ending their trail of destruction in an instant. Look at that, another herd, this time even larger, probably over 20 strong. Our entire team locked in and unleashed a barrage of fire. In a matter of seconds, gunshots echoed rapidly, and boar after boar dropped across the field. There was no escaping fate. thought the hunt was over, we stumbled upon a few stragglers on the way back to the rendezvous point. With a single shot, they dropped where they stood, motionless. This hunting trip wrapped up with a series of incredibly satisfying takedowns. Wild boars kept falling, so many that we eventually lost count. Still, that number barely made a dent compared to how fast this species can multiply. Ever since I was a kid, I've been captivated by terrifying tales of monstrous wild boars, fearsome beasts lurking in the shadows. But instead of being afraid, I felt driven. Driven to learn, train, and become a fearless hunter. Tonight, my team and I are diving deep into their territory, into the dark corners where these ferocious creatures roam. A tense showdown is about to unfold, and only the boldest will prevail. Wild boars are powerful animals, but at night, they become even more dangerous. Limited visibility gives them the edge, and their instincts to hunt, flee, or fight kick in with full force. Some people have been chased for hundreds of meters through thick forests. Others suffered serious injuries for underestimating their speed and aggression. In China alone, over 10 wild boar-related incidents occurred in just the last 2 months of 2024, resulting in 7 casualties. Aware of how brutal these night warriors can be, our hunting team set out early to reach a familiar quarter, well prepared for tonight's mission. In the pitch-black darkness, we relied entirely on our scopes to track every move. It didn't take long before the first boar appeared. I fired quickly and took it down, our first successful hit of the night. Sweeping the scope to the left, we spotted another group of wild boars foraging silently in the distance. I picked one, isolated in the middle, and pulled the trigger. The heavy thud of its fall startled the rest, and they scattered. We kept adjusting and firing, determined to bring down more. We remained still in the open field, scanning patiently until another herd approached. Their course first stood out starkly under the moonlight. They were massive, arched backs, stocky legs, and solid muscle. I took careful aim, and with a clean shot, dropped one right where it stood. The others bolted, but we managed to land a few more hits. Still, none of us were disappointed. Hunting is never an easy stroll. It's a relentless battle. As the night deepened, more and more boars appeared, bolder and more aggressive. But fatigue was setting in, so we made the call to head back. Yet on the way home, we couldn't help but stop. An overwhelming number of boars had taken over a freshly seeded field. Gunshots echoed through the night as boar after boar fell from well-placed shots. For us, seasoned in the war against wild boars, hunting isn't just about protecting crops, it's an unquenchable passion. Though the night's thrills still lingered in our minds, a new challenge awaited us the very next day. As usual, we gathered in the afternoon to prep before heading back for dinner, gearing up for the real action after dark. By around 10 p.m., we reached our ambush point. The bait had been set, and sure enough, the first boar came sniffing in. As it stepped into the kill zone, I squeezed the trigger, one shot, one kill. But that bait didn't just lure one, it attracted a whole herd. The biggest and strongest were always our priority. Two well-aimed shots brought down two more. We paused to catch our breath before the next round of pursuit. After regrouping, we moved past a small garden near the edge of the field. Through the scope, we spotted another herd hiding behind thick foliage. We had to move closer, and when the moment was right, I opened fire. The booming gunshot sent the herd fleeing. One particularly large boar wasn't so lucky. Back at the same field, the boars had returned. I locked in on the alpha, by far the most destructive, and took aim. But our wild boar pursuit wasn't over yet. On the far side of the field, the herd had returned again, scavenging for leftover crops. There they were, boars streaming in from all directions. This was the moment we were waiting for. The entire team moved in for the takedown. During the day, wild boars tend to stay hidden or move slowly. But when darkness falls, they grow bold. If you're thinking of joining a night hunt, make sure you're equipped and prepared. A single misstep can turn the hunt into a nightmare. Did the thrill of the chase get your adrenaline pumping? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more epic hunts coming your way.